Hi everyone, my name is Laura, and today we were supposed to be doing scratch art CDs that would sort of look like this, but we had a little bit of a failure. As I was doing the video, I realized that they weren't scratching very well. So sometimes that happens. You just find a mistake and you have to keep going with it. So I still recommend that you go ahead and try and scratch your CD, but I am also going to include some examples or ideas for different ways that you can use your CDs after this, and hopefully you can use one of those to turn this failure into a success. So keep watching and see how badly this goes, and then look for those ideas at the end and use those to make an awesome and creative new project. So to begin our scratch art CD, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this bag and see what is inside. This is the scratch art project, so make sure you look for that. And this one doesn't have quite too many items in it. It should be pretty easy to do. I lost my... So inside you're going to have a stick so that you can use that to etch into your CD. And then you're gonna have two CDs. They might be a little stuck together. So we have obviously just used CDs that we had sort of laying around the library. So if you want to use the other side, you can. You can paint it black. This is just acrylic paint. So it sticks to most things. Just be aware that if you use acrylic paint on the other side and you scratch it, you will see what is underneath. So keep that in mind. I did not paint them, but I did paint the side that was blank. So like I said, I just used black acrylic paint for this. So that's what we have. This is going to be a pretty quick project, but I do want you to think about what you want to do before you start. So kind of think about what you want as far as like motif or whatever that you want on your CD. For example, I did this one a few years ago, and I sort of sectioned it off to do different things here. I've got little X's and flowers and weird patterns and shapes and things like that. I've got a bee over here that is very out of proportion. But that's okay. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do, and you have of course two CDs that you can use, and any CDs that you sort of have laying around the house that you're not really interested in using anymore or have gotten old and scratched and don't really work, you can use those too. So anyway, so yeah, to get started, I would recommend that you grab a pencil and paper and maybe sketch out what exactly you want on your CD. If you want to do a different pattern, or if you want to actually draw something, you can. If you sketch it out on paper, then you won't have this situation like I did here where everything is out of proportion, because I drew the body too big and then I didn't have enough room for the wings. So in this case I would probably make it much smaller, and I would know that based on the drawing that I made on paper. So it's never a bad idea to draw what you want first so that you can get an idea of space and you know what exactly you're gonna work on. So let's see. I'm going, I don't know what I'm gonna draw. I am going to draw maybe I'll just do some patterns since I'm just showing you guys. I'm not feeling very creative today. So, keep that in mind when you're doing it. If you're not feeling very creative, maybe come back to it later. So I'm just gonna break this into 4 sections. So I'm gonna scratch. You might have to scratch kind of hard to get through the paint. paint's kind of sticking differently than it has in the past. So let's see if this one's any better. No, it's not. This is super weird. I've made these like 10 other times and I've never had this happen. Maybe it's these sticks. You might want to use something like this as a key, since it doesn't look like the sticks are working very well. Or like a corner of a ruler. So weird. Okay, so this isn't working very well. I'm really sorry about that. I have seriously done this a bunch of times and never had it not work before. So I brought out this ruler to see if I could sort of sketch it or try and scratch it this way. So what I would do is get something that has a sharp edge and just sort of carve it out a little piece by piece and scratch off your paint. So that way it's done. It's not usually this difficult though, so I don't know what's going on, but sorry about that. But yeah, so that's what I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna scratch a little pattern into my CD, and that will be it for this week. So sorry that's not working out as well as it normally does. I am a little confused. Maybe it's the kind of paint I used. I don't remember what kind of paint I used before, but I always assumed it was this same acrylic. So I'm sorry about that, but next week's gonna be super great. So you can still do this one. You'll just have to use something that has like kind of a hard edge on it, and then sort of just scratch it a little bit at a time, and then make sure you take off any paint that's sticking to your hard edge, okay? So I gave it some thought and came up with some ideas that you could use to make your CDs more interesting if you're not able to scratch them. So you can color with colored pencil. Colored pencil works on these really well. This stuff is also just a little bit like chalkboard paint, so you can always try and use chalk on it. You can also color it with a crayon, and if you want, you can try melting the crayon with a hairdryer. It might even out the color a little bit. You can try coloring over it like multiple times before you melt it and see what happens. You can grate or chop a crayon up and then put those on top of your CD, cover them with parchment paper, and you can either melt them with an iron or a hairdryer. You can paint it. You should have some paint. If you participated last month, you might still have some paint left over and your paint brushes. Otherwise, you can just use anything, any paint or paint brushes that you have laying around the house. You could also cover it in stickers. I know I have a bunch of stickers sort of laying around, so those would be a good way to use those up and use that, and then you can hang them on your wall. You can hang them on your wall with any of these. You can glue beads or perler beads. Perler beads are those ones that you melt together. Usually those are like on a, like a template, but you can always put them on there too. I would just glue them though, or you can just put regular beads on there. Doesn't matter to me. You can make a pattern, just do random, completely up to you. And then, when all else fails, just cover it in glitter. That's kind of what I do. So, there will always be failures in life. This program was a bit of a failure as it was, but that's okay. You always try and find a way to turn those failures into successes. So if something doesn't turn out perfect the first time, it's always a good and easy thing to do to turn it around and create something new. So I highly recommend that you be creative. Look for stuff that you have around the house that you'd like to glue to your CD. Really turn this project around around because I have faith in you guys and your creativity. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry that this one didn't work out exactly the way we had planned, but that doesn't mean that we can't make it a success, right? So I will see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.